There is nothing cooler in this world than an action scene from the Dragon Ball franchise. The series has given us some of the most brutal takedowns in all of anime history. Some of those weren't even during a skirmish. In between the epic confrontation, our heroes will often roast their enemies before the action even begins. Sometimes these burns are more painful than an energy blast could be. So let's dive into the sickest burns in Dragon Ball history. Goku and Vegeta have the biggest rivalry in the series by far. They start off as enemies when Vegeta first arrives to conquer Earth and take the Dragon Balls. Things somehow get tenser when Goku achieves Vegeta's ultimate goal of becoming a Super Saiyan and defeating Frieza. Once Vegeta finally achieves Super Saiyan, it isn't quite as clear which one is more powerful. Well, it isn't clear for one of them. In the days before the Cell games, everyone trained as hard as they could to compete in the tournament. Even with all that training, Goku shocked the gang by announcing that he didn't think he could take on Cell. Part of the shock was that he did this with a smile. When you're the go-to hero and you announce that the evil villain's more powerful, you probably shouldn't be smiling. They all tell him that he should probably start training again, but he says that it would be counterproductive. He says the rest of them should feel free to train more though. Vegeta gets mad at Goku for patronizing him and suggesting that he's more powerful. Goku responds by saying, "I wasn't really suggesting it." This leads to 10 seconds of awkward silence. That might seem like a strange choice for a TV show, but they just knew their audience needed a while to react to that sick burn. When it was announced that Frieza would be returning for Dragon Ball Super, the pressure was on again. The writers had to add a new form for the character to have him compete with God form Goku and Vegeta. Luckily, his roast game didn't need any power-ups. Vegeta finally got his long-awaited rematch with Frieza and was anxious to send him back to the afterlife. When he told him that he wouldn't show mercy like Goku, Frieza responded with one of the fiercest comebacks in the series. He said that your threats are as empty as your title. Then he referred to him as the Prince of No One. If Vegeta and Frieza were feuding rappers like Machine Gun Kelly and Eminem, Frieza's diss track would definitely be called Prince of No One. Ask any Dragon Ball Z fan what the worst episode of the series was and they'll all have the same answer. The episode where Goku and Piccolo have to get their driver's license. In a show that's about warriors taking on warlords and epic showdowns, a driver's test is about the least interesting concept possible. Do you remember that episode of Breaking Bad all about Walter White having to write a grant proposal? No? That's because it's stupid and has nothing to do with this show. The only saving grace of the entire outfit was that Piccolo was forced to wear street clothes. Apparently, you can't get a driver's license while wearing a cape. He looks about as miserable as possible in that backward hat and t-shirt. Goku even had the gall to burn Piccolo for his outfit, despite the fact that the situation is all his fault. He asks Piccolo, "Where'd you get those clothes?" Piccolo tries to burn him back by saying they're from Goku's closet, but his powers are greatly diminished by a ball cap. Goku and Bulma didn't exactly get off to a great start when they first met. You wouldn't think from how that scene plays out that the two would become best friends for decades. Bulma wants to get Goku's 4-star Dragon Ball, but Goku won't be parted with it. She offers to give the small child a striptease, which is a felony by the way, Bulma. To Bulma's surprise, Goku was disgusted by that offer and had no interest in it. This is a pretty deep cut for the insecure young lady. Don't worry though, Goku's not interested in Chi-Chi like that either, and they're married. Goku has even revealed that he and Chi-Chi haven't even made pact before. In retrospect, we would have seen the signs all the way back to episode 1. Oob is one of the most underutilized characters in the Dragon Ball series. As the human reincarnation of Kid Buu, Oob could have been a fascinating character. Does he have all the same powers as Majin Buu inside of him? Could he turn any enemy in the Dragon Ball universe into chocolate? We may never know. One of the only worthwhile appearances of the character came when he faced Goku in a tournament. Oob was understandably intimidated when the match began. Goku, knowing who he really was, wanted to make sure Oob showed him what he was capable of. He then started roasting the young warrior as hard as he could to get him mad. He starts by calling him a stinky village rat and ends with a fat mother joke. Goku's roast game is apparently still in middle school. Oob finally gets mad enough to go all out on Goku. This impresses him enough to take Oob out to train. Meanwhile, Goten waits at the door with a baseball in one hand and a catcher's mitt in the other. He's gonna be waiting at that door for a long time. Vegeta spent most of his life looking forward to the day that he'd finally get to take on Frieza. He spent years as his loyal soldier, slowly gaining power until the day he could strike. Evidently, he spent that time training his roasting power level as well. During his match with Final Form Frieza, he slammed the Warlord with one of the series' best roasts. What's the matter? Is your brain one of your weak and underused muscles? The burn would have gone so much better had their actual showdown not gone so poorly for the Saiyan Prince. That just goes to show you, folks, if you're gonna roast somebody, you better be able to back it up. Otherwise, you look pretty silly when your opponent chokes you out with his tail and uses your body as a punching bag. That lesson may not be universal. Goku and Vegeta's rivalry was dormant for most of Dragon Ball Z. They started as enemies but had to be tense allies through the Frieza, Android, and Cell conflicts. That all got to change when Vegeta was taken over by Babidi's magic. At long last, they would get to have the Super Saiyan showdown that fans wanted for so long. The first shots fired in this epic rematch had nothing to do with Energy Blast, though. Goku started off by asking if this was anything new or just the same old beef between the two. He should know better by now than to set Vegeta up like that. The Saiyan Prince responded by saying that Goku would be returned to the afterlife soon, so he'd have to take his shot while he can. The best part of this whole scene was the confusion of Supreme Kai. Here the world's at stake and these two macho idiots were too busy roasting each other. The whole scene is capped off with him asking, "Who are you guys?" Oh, Supreme Kai, little did you know that this was just the tip of the iceberg. The entire game was changed in Dragon Ball Z when Raditz arrived. As he was defeated, he announced that 2 Saiyans would be following him. This made pretty much everyone freak out to try and train for the conflict. Once everything began, some people weren't up to the task. Gohan panicked when he saw how powerful Nappa was, though maybe he was just freaked out about the mustache. As he was retreating, Nappa fired an energy blast at him. He then behaves like a true Saiyan and starts roasting the scared child for being afraid of the conflict. Wow, in retrospect, maybe Chi-Chi was right about the whole "he should be in school" argument. Gohan shows his true strength by turning on Nappa and unleashing a fierce barrage of burns back at him. He tells Nappa that he could use a shower, but too softly for him to hear. Nappa holds his hand up to his ear in a patronizing fashion, to which Gohan unleashes a fierce "you smell." This attack cuts right through Nappa's armor and hits him where he lives. Even Vegeta laughed at that one. Gohan may not have been a match for Nappa power level wise, but his roast game was much more powerful even then. Anime fans have been in a heated debate for decades. The subs versus dubs conflict has raged across dozens of internet forums. Why do some anime fans hate dubs, you ask? Well, sometimes the translation gets pretty awkward. That's on full display when Vegeta decides to take on Android 18. Vegeta has shown time and time again that he has one of the sharpest wits in the series. So it's strange that 18 so easily gets the best of him in this exchange. After giving him a backhanded compliment by saying he fights well for a little man, she then caps it off. So sad to work so hard for so little is a pretty epic bad guy burn. Too bad his comeback was the lamest in the series. He shouts, "Sad for you," lamely as he flies towards her. The scene is so awkward that they later redubbed it entirely, so hopefully that comeback is no longer canon for Vegeta's sake. Goten doesn't have the best relationship with his father. In fact, Goku's been in the afterlife for most of his childhood. Once he finally gets a look at his dad, you'd think it would be a heartwarming moment. Instead, it's an opportunity for his best friend Trunks to give him a pretty sick burn. He is Vegeta's son after all. Once Trunks gets a look at Goku, he doesn't miss a beat before throwing some shade. "Your dead dad looks a lot like you," Trunks says in the kind of casually cold way only a kid can pull off. Though it does make sense that Trunks is surprised how much Goten looks like his dad. Trunks looks about as much like Vegeta as he does Yamcha, his almost dad. Sorry Yamcha, but Trunks isn't the only one that knows how to throw shade. The intense action sequences in Dragon Ball are reserved for the trained warriors. That doesn't mean the other characters don't get to burn each other in pretty epic ways though. Bulma and Chi-Chi showed that both of them are more than an even match when it comes to the skill of roasting. Chi-Chi jokingly suggested that Bulma and her should trade men. She then burns the absent Goku by saying he may be sweeter, but Vegeta is more reliable. Bulma merely shrugs this off with an eye roll, showing Chi-Chi that her best attempt does not faze her. Then Yamcha decided to get in on the fun by telling them both that he's single. Chi-Chi doesn't miss a beat before she tells him that she wants an even trade, not a downgrade. Everyone, even his ex Bulma, then laughed at Yamcha. He tried to laugh it off, but you can tell that he was crying on the inside. Vegeta may have had the pleasure of destroying Android 19, but he wasn't the one who gave the final burn. After he blew the robot to pieces, he proclaims that he wishes they were near a junkyard so they could bury it properly. Piccolo decided that even though Vegeta took him down, he shouldn't get the last line. After Krillin said the robot was toast, Piccolo dropped one of the best lines in the entire series that only he could pull off. "More like burnt toast." The only thing missing from that scene was for Piccolo to pull sunglasses out of his robe, just like in CSI Miami. Considering the fact that Frieza destroyed their entire planet, it's understandable that he was unhappy that Goku let Frieza come back to life. Goku seems to be under the assumption that Frieza might turn over a new leaf. Vegeta speaks for the audience when he finally tells Goku what everyone was thinking. He cuts through all of their banter and just calls Goku a dumbass. For those that watch the show's original kid-friendly dub, this is pretty fantastic. Sure, Vegeta gets quite a lot out of his PG-rated language, but you know in real life that he would curse like Samuel L. Jackson. So naturally, we need to start a petition making a new dub where Sam Jackson does all of Vegeta's lines. Goku and Frieza's final showdown was pretty much the high point of the entire series. It was so intense that it literally destroyed the planet they were attacking each other on. The animation and drama gets most of the attention from the fight, but the smack talk should get just as much. Frieza tries to get the upper hand in ways that he's done before. He tries to compare Goku's race to a lowly primate. Goku doesn't take the bait though. Instead of getting angry like Vegeta would at the insult, he calls Frieza ignorant and responds with an even better comeback. He tells Frieza that name-calling is your only attack, because he's got nothing else to challenge him with. It's kinda surprising that that burn alone was enough to destroy Namek. When Gohan defeated Cell, it seemed like he would overcome his father as the franchise's coolest character. Then he became the Great Saiyaman, and it was obvious that that wasn't gonna happen. Ever since Gohan made his superhero debut, the other characters have all burned him for his outfit. Everyone from Trunks, Vegeta, and even Krillin have called out his fashion sense, or lack thereof. The best one came from Piccolo, who just straight up told him that the outfit was ridiculous. Sometimes honesty is the harshest burn there is. At least Goten likes it, though that probably isn't much of a point in his favor. When Vegeta and Goku combined into Vegito, they didn't just join power levels, the two also merged their collective egos. When Super Buu had to face the pair, he may have been able to match them physically, but he was no match for the smack talk. At one point, Vegito delivers Buu a sharp kick to the nose, making it bleed. Vegito then pauses the fight, telling Buu to clean yourself off, you're a disgrace. That's pretty cold, even to a monster like Buu. What this also shows us is that either Goku or Vegeta are fans of Rush Hour. They practically quote Chris Tucker's one-liner for the main bad guy to clean himself off after he'd been shot. If you only know Chaozu from Dragon Ball Z onward, then you probably only think of him as Tien's lovable little buddy. When we first meet him in Dragon Ball though, he's pretty far from that. He's initially presented as the foil for Krillin. He starts insulting Krillin's height and lack of hair. That's quite a lot of shade to throw for someone who looks like a creepy mime stuffed animal. When Krillin responds that Chaozu is also bald and short, he shows Krillin that he is wrong. Chaozu pulls off his hat and reveals that he has one curly hair sprouting from his head. That's the sort of thing that you just can't unsee. Dragon Ball GT is widely regarded as the worst of the franchise. It's so bad that it isn't even considered canon anymore. There were a few great moments though. Fans were quite fond of Goku's Super Saiyan 4. His first big fight came when he went up against Baby-possessed Vegeta. Baby is an artificial intelligence if you didn't know. Goku wasn't fighting an infant Vegeta, though that probably would have been more interesting. During their skirmish, Baby Vegeta viciously attacks Goku. He responds to the barrage with a smile and one of the character's best burns. Your punches only tickle. It's good to know that Goku's roast game is strong no matter what form he's in. When Goku lost his life in the Frieza confrontation, it seemed like that might be the end for the galaxy's favorite hero. Everyone should have known that his absence would be short-lived. He returned shortly after Frieza did with some new techniques and a questionable look. Turns out Goku didn't actually die. Evidently, he'd spent some time on the planet called Yard Rat. For a place that gets its name from combining yard and rat together, the fashion is about what you'd expect. Vegeta wastes no time in telling his old rival how ridiculous he looks. That's saying something considering the fact that Vegeta was wearing a pink-collared shirt at the time. Frieza's one of the biggest bullies in the galaxy, so when he was defeated by Goku, he did what all spoiled bullies do. He went back to tell his daddy. King Cold and the newly rebuilt Frieza come back to Earth seeking vengeance. We don't see much of Frieza's father, but if his name is any indication, he shares his son's icy demeanor. When Trunks decided to spoil Frieza's big revenge party, though, he name-dropped the evil warlord's greatest enemy, Goku. King Cold responds with a, "What's a Goku?" This means either two things. King Cold is either dropping some serious shade on the man who defeated his son, or Frieza was too much of a coward to tell the whole story. Either way, he was trying to assert his dominance over all of them. Too bad he ended up getting defeated in one of the most shameful losses in Dragon Ball history. Trunks blew him away faster than Yamcha usually does when the new villains arrive. There you have it, the sickest burns in Dragon Ball history. Though, let's be honest, Frieza calling Vegeta the Prince of No One is better than all of the others by far. Which was your favorite? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next Dragon Ball video.